Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Gotta love these advertisements. Today, we're going to be taking a look at all things Bitcoin rainbow chart, comparing it with the fear and greed index, with the alt season chart, with current price action and indicators. So let's start this off by looking at the fear and greed index. And as you can see here, we are up into greed. Gotta love these advertisements. And overall, recently, about a week and a half ago, we were down into extreme fear. Zooming out, that was as deep as we've been this last year. So, possible good buying opportunities with altcoins. We're still waiting to see what's happening with Bitcoin. As you can see, for a while, we were in this uptrend. I am worried that with the lower highs, lower lows, maybe we're starting a minor downtrend here. Now, bearish case scenario, we got to take what the data is giving us. Bearish case scenario is since 2000, many years we have been going down between the times of August to October as far as the markets. We also have the election coming up, so there's probably going to be increased volatility. You can check volatility and you can see a spike there in the volatility index. It's called the VIX. So that's one way to check. We'll see if this starts to trend upwards when it's been an overall downtrend for the past couple of years. So it's possible more volatile times, more juicy prices, things might go down. The bullish way of looking at this would be is that when Bitcoin made a new all-time high in 2020 from its prior all-time high in 2017, show you guys that right here. So late 2017, we had that peak. 2020, late 2020, when it was getting above that, fear and greed was peaked. Now, it wasn't a downtrend, but still kept going up. And that first top where we had alt season happened mostly around March. And you guys can see that right here. So March, April, and that we still have time for that to happen. So keep an eye out on this. Overall, it does show that it is possible that lower prices might be coming with a more volatile market, but we'll see. We have to take what the price action gives us. With the alt season index, you can see here we had these three spikes late 2020. And then, of course, during that alt season in March, April of 21, I know it says it's peaking there. We have other data and metrics to show you that alt season was really peaking before that. Right now, we are in this uptrend, though most recently you can see alts or overall alts would be down compared to Bitcoin. So we'll track Bitcoin dominance, see where it's at, and the rainbow chart where we are right now. So you can see that since I've started these videos, I've talked about how each cycle we've gone up a zone, a color band at each halving, and this time was no different. We were in the still cheap zone, and right now that is still where we are at. We are still going sideways. And historically, should Bitcoin, should the altcoins have another peak, we still have some ways to go, whether getting into the yellow, the orange, the reddish orange bands. When I take a look at the tops, you can see here the first three tops were in the max bubble territory. Last time we only got up really into these two zones right here, the orange and the reddish orange ones right there. And so I want to take a look currently at what some possible prices might be in those orange and in the, which zones do we want to look at? In zones, I'll call these zones 2 and 3. And so let's say things are all of a sudden going to get super bullish from now until the election. We'll take a look at stagger this out. We're looking at boxes 2 and 3 from the top. Could you see Bitcoin getting up between 130 to 225K? Is that believable for you? For me, it's harder to believe, but when these bull runs did happen, I will say they happened very fast. So I want to see more positive movement, a break of former all-time highs. What about later this year? 144 to 240K. What about March of next year? 155 to 260K. What about a 4-year cycle from this point in November instead of March? So this would be a 4-year cycle from March of 21, which I'm curious if that's going to play out. But what if we go to November of 25? Would Bitcoin get somewhere between 187 to 313K? So these are the questions you have to ask yourself. And what's most believable? I have a conservative mindset. I don't want to get laser eyes, mega bullish like so many people. I rather take what the market's giving us, see these signs. I'm in zone 3, realistically speaking. Orange zone, maybe somewhere around a 4-year cycle. That's what my gut says. We'll see if that plays out. It's okay if things change. You have to make a plan and adjust to the market conditions whenever they meet your plan. That's when you have to act. So we don't try to get too much in the prediction game on this channel. We try to take what the market gives us. So maybe 155K, around a 3 trillion market cap for Bitcoin sometime by next year. So I wanted to take a look at the Bitcoin price action, and then we'll talk about some other indicators and things. So right now, Bitcoin, it is in this downward channel. This gray line here, this is as close as I could draw on a macro fib from the tops in 2021. So you can see when I drew this fib, I drew it from that 2021 top in November. And right now, Bitcoin got rejected off that or near it. And we went up for 10 days straight. And now we have this red candle, this long-legged doji. So we'll see how things act. You can also see this trend line, which I like to say the trend lines are only good for as long as they're good for. But Bitcoin has been honoring this trend line, bouncing off of it, riding up on the trend line, going under. It's kind of been going right in between where the moving averages have been, but it got back under the trend line and now back up to it. So it's kind of curious how Bitcoin price has been snaking and growing around this trend line. Now, I got to tell you guys, once in a while, I'll watch some other crypto videos, and what I see a lot of people doing, and this is a problem, I feel that a big problem in the crypto community because of the 4-year cycle, because of the rainbow chart, is what do you see here? You see patterns. You see patterns how every cycle we have these peaks and we have these valleys, okay? You can also see that about every 4 years we have these peaks. So because of this cyclical patterns that we have in different areas, kind of like how, the price each having went up a zone, it gets people, I think, lulled to sleep into thinking the same thing's always going to happen. Getting into the game of predictions instead of price action and taking what the market gives us. Historically speaking, let's just take a look at this from a whole. You could just say very simply that we are in a better dollar cost averaging investment type area right here, and that there are better times to sell when we get up here. We are not up here right now, okay? I also see a lot of crypto YouTubers talking about how this cycle, it's going to be like 2017 or like 2013. Guys, none of us know. What we can say is each cycle has been different from the one before or from every other cycle, matter of fact. So we have no idea how this cycle is going to play out, how it's going to be most similar to any of these. And so on this channel, whether I'm talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, I'm looking for strong cryptos or cryptos that I believe will do well this next cycle, that won't underperform compared to the rest of the market. And so when I take a look at this, I don't want to get into the game of picking fractals. And if you were wondering what a fractal is, it'd be like highlighting this whole movement here and just copy and pasting it onto this. You guys, none of us know what's going to happen. And we shouldn't draw comparisons all because it happened before. Again, as I say in the beginning, analysis of data is not enough to predict future results. So we do have to take what the market's giving us and go from there. What has the market given us before? Instead of making a prediction and getting obsessed with a month, Let's zoom out a little bit and even say, what would be a general range? We have these 4-year cycles, and this is me trying to, this is going to be predicting a little bit, but it's trying to predict or evaluate prior data to give us a range and have an open mind for different possibilities. So from each halving to the next cycle peak, how long has that time been on average? Well, I've measured that out for you. And each halving has been these white vertical lines. I've mapped that out here. Each new break of the prior all-time high has been mapped by these yellow vertical lines. And you can see that here. So whenever Bitcoin gets above its prior all-time high, I put a yellow line there, and I put a white line for the halving date. Now, up until this cycle, the halving has always come before the break of the prior all-time high. This time, things are already different. That's why it's good to not get too caught up in the prediction game. We peaked and made a new all-time high before the halving. And so if you average out the amount of days from new all-time highs to the next peak, it gives us around 300 days. And if you average out the amount of time from the halving, the white lines, to the next all-time high, it's around 484 days. And so this is a little different from what a lot of people are saying out there. A lot of people are saying 4-year cycle. Look at the rainbow chart. And guys, maybe this is what is going to happen, but you know what? Again, we want to use data to show us any, or to help us lead ourselves to any conclusions. Now, maybe it does top November of 25. Who knows? In my opinion, no one knows. Every time is different. No one predicted last time that we were going to have an alt season and a top in March of 21. But we also had COVID. We also had all that stimulus money being injected into the markets that moved things forward. And what if the 4-year cycle that people love, or let's say around a 4-year cycle, has been now moved forward because of that? And maybe that's, again, why my gut says possibly March. Now, that's what my gut says, but to be clear, my crypto investment plan doesn't care about what my gut says. I have a strict crypto investment plan. I have a strict budget of what I do or don't dollar cost average into. And I have a range and a threshold of when and when not to dollar cost average in any of my budget into any crypto, whether it's Bitcoin or altcoins that I like and talk about on this channel, or Bitcoin mining stocks, which I also talk about on this channel. And I do videos on those every Wednesday with chart analysis. So watch for that tomorrow. So it doesn't matter what the predictions are that are out there, as long as you have a plan and you stick to it. And so taking those averages, people are saying November 4-year cycle, November of 25. If we average just from the halvings to the next peak, well, that average number a day puts us in August of 2025, not November. And that's going by the averages that we've had before on this rainbow chart, from the peak to this halving. Now, I could ignore this, and that average would be even longer. It'd probably put us closer to November again. But this is data. This is something that actually happened, so we can't ignore it. From this peak to this halving, this peak to the halving, and going by what the actual Bitcoin price peak was to this halving, you take all that, and you can't deny the data. It gives us August. Now, if you really believe in that, should you be writing down with a marker on your calendar, August of 25, sell everything? No. Again, make a plan and stick to your plan. That way, when the market gets very bearish, very bullish, very euphoric, filled with fear, that you'll stick to your plan no matter what. You won't deviate from your plan. That's why it's good that we are talking about this stuff now. Well, things are just kind of ranging, because when we hit euphoria, people were buying back here when things were topping. And when we've hit extreme fear, people and articles out there on CNBC and other websites were talking about how the sky's falling. When these were good investment opportunities, and these were good opportunities to possibly take some profits. So you got to write down a plan. You got to make a plan. I hope you guys are doing that. I'm going to keep saying that's your homework. Now, if we just average from the new all-time high, which again, we have new data, something is different this time. We have an all-time high, a new all-time high before the halving. If we average from the new all-time high, it's 300 days. And where does that put us? That puts us in December. And so instead of getting too caught up in the prediction game, copying and pasting fractals, this has to happen or not happen, let's just take what the data is giving us and try to be open-minded. Remove our emotion of what has or doesn't have to happen. As soon as we start doing that, we insert our emotion into it, because then when something doesn't happen, we're disappointed, we're upset, we're sad, we're angry, we're embarrassed. Or if we say something does have to happen, we're putting our emotion, our ego into it. You got to remove that crap. That's what we talk about here in market psychology. Try to look at things with an open mind, like a robot. You got to take your emotion out of it, and making a plan, setting a budget is the best way to do it. This isn't a channel for degenerate gamblers, for Solana garbage coins, traders. This is a channel to look at things from a more macroscopic point of view. And I hope I'm helping you guys with that. And so the way I take these two data points is to just look at this as a general range, something to just be aware of. And so type in the comments below, do you have any gut feeling, inclination, educated guess on where you think the next top of Bitcoin will be? I'm curious. Or do you think Bitcoin already topped? And guys, what my goal is on this channel is to try to grow a community where we're helping and educating each other and being open-minded, not being toxic or downplaying what other people have to say. Just being constructive with our conversations and supportive. That's too many toxic crypto communities out there as soon as people start disagreeing. I think it's a good thing to disagree. And on this channel, we're going to go about that the right way, a constructive way. So where do you think crypto is going to top? Do you think it already topped? So before we move on to Bitcoin dominance and Tether dominance, because that's more data, something we talked about, I believe, in the last halving, the last rainbow chart video, is we talked about the percentage of movements that each cycle had. And on the rainbow chart, this would be from valley to peak, from valley to peak, valley to peak, because that percentage is going down. So how much did Bitcoin move up from its first valley to peak? 60,000%. Guys, can you imagine? This is just where it started. I wonder if this data is going to be much better or worse. Oh yeah, 5 million% from when it came out to the peak. Can you imagine? You got Bitcoin at down here at these. Well, it's not even registered until it's up here. So, not sure we can really use it or take that as real data. We'll just start here again, around 60,000% up from valley to peak. Next one. We're just going to estimate around 10,500% up valley to peak. Next one, most recent one, about 2,000. So it's about 20% around valley to peak. Did you guys notice that? So from these last couple cycles, take a look at this. There's a percent that pops up here. We're around 60,000, 55,000, okay? Here we were around 10,000, correct? Well, what's 1/5. 1/5 is 20%. So here we were around 10,000, plus a little bit more. Here we're around 2,000. What's 2 divided by 10? That's 1/5. That's 20% again. And so what's 20%? And again, this is getting in the prediction game, so does not have to play out this way. But it is curious that that is what's happened. We're just having fun with numbers here. What's 1/5 of 2,000? Or what's 0.2 times 2,000? That'd be about 400% up. That if you take this number 2,000, you multiply it times 0.2 or 1/5, that's 400, and that makes sense because 200 would be 1/5 of 1,000. So you just add that twice. What is 400% up from? I don't know what this number is going to be, but watch it be the prior all-time high. That's my guess. What's 400% up? Oh God, oh God, oh no. So if we, guys, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was bringing you bearish news today. Might this change some of your viewpoints? That 1/5 last cycle, or the prior 2 cycles have been 1/5 of the strength and the move of each other. Well, if we just stay around there, and again, these percentages aren't perfect. If we do another 1/5 of that, around 400%, here's we got to be open-minded to it. What if this does play out? Could that have been the top, a recent top? Something you have to consider, but you have to, again, in the game of investment, you have to make a plan and you have to follow through with it. We have been mostly in extreme greed. Okay, we got to be open-minded. I'm not trying to FUD anyone out of long-term investment strategies here or outlooks. And real quick, just by saying that, even if you do believe that's the top, let's go to this rainbow chart and just look at the next halving and look where the value boxes are. Right now, Bitcoin is at what, high 60,000? Look at the lowest band on this rainbow chart. If you believe in it, we're going to be up even 4 years from now. Okay? And that's at the lowest possible. Should you believe in the Bible of the Bitcoin rainbow chart? If this is your law, your facts, then you don't care. You believe that down the line, on average, by the next halving, things will look a lot better. Maybe. Is Bitcoin digital gold? And is it because the ETFs that have been approved ready to take off? So we have a bullish way of looking at it. And guys, we have to be open-minded to the bearish ways of looking at it too. Might that be it? Now, me, I don't believe so. That's my educated guess. I very well could be wrong. Maybe that is maybe that is the top. Or, here's another way to look at it perspective-wise. This happened before the halving, so another way, I don't think anyone said this before. We talk about each cycle by measurement of time. But how many people talk about each cycle by measurement between the halvings? Here's going to be the alternate perspective. I was just talking about the next cycle by measurement of time. But what if this was the top of this whole cycle and we take a look at this as a whole? You see what I'm saying here? That could be. And then, in that case, because that top wasn't too much higher, what if the next cycle, by measurement of halving, is just around 400% up? And we're just having fun here, guys. What if it's 400% up from that top? Around 300K. So guys, you see where, here we took a look at both sides of that data point, that phenomena that's been happening by patterns. But do you see where things are already starting to go wrong, and why getting in the game of predictions and patterns is a losing game? Because this range is all over the place. Well, what is the top? Is it 70,000 or is it 300,000? Make up your mind. I don't know. And that's why it's important to have a plan. No one knows. But you make a plan, and if you're making a plan off the rainbow chart and you believe in the rainbow chart and you see these insane prices that are all much higher 4 years down the road, for me, this helps me feel less stressed. It helps me breathe a sigh of relief because I'm like, if I dollar cost average in the Bitcoin, who cares? Who cares about any of this noise and nonsense? I believe in the rainbow chart. I believe it'll go higher. It can be as simple as that. I try to add some extra value to that simplicity by just saying, and this is an approach I take with other stocks as well, is I have a budget, I dollar cost average in, and when it hits these moving averages and things are looking good on the charts, I sometimes dollar cost average in more because when it gets here, I'm like, hey, this is deeper value. I rather invest more at deeper value. And if there are investment opportunities here, I stick to my budget. I don't overdo it. I don't chase the hype. Last thing we're going to talk about is the dominance charts. We have these two trend lines right here and right here. There's a lot of trend lines, but focus on this one and this one, the horizontal one and the falling one. The falling one from the 2017 peak hit this peak of Bitcoin dominance, has been going down. If you're new here, Bitcoin dominance is, what this means is that 55.59%, excuse me, let me drink my coffee, 55.6% of all money that's in crypto is in Bitcoin. That's what that means. And when dominance falls, that's when we get alt season. That is when altcoins explode. You can see here, it happened from mid-December to early January in the 2017 cycle. Here, happened in March through early May. Okay, that's when alts explode. We talked about that. That was right here and right here. And so dominance has been going up, and we have the convergence of these two lines. Here's where the dominance dipped to. And there's some other data points here. Again, could the line be moved further up? Sure. Let's actually play with that. Does this make more sense? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with anything. Whether you think, maybe this little bit was kind of a fake out. But then we have that dip right here. And so if we kind of honor this area, some of these peaks here, okay, all this converges around 58%. Now, again, don't get into the game of predictions and following them. Does dominance have to hit this 58%? No. But that's kind of my base case, what I'm looking for before dominance could fall and we get another blow-off top alt season and cycle top, if you will. So you can't deny that Bitcoin dominance is going up. If this were a stock, I would love it. I love stocks that slowly trend upwards. They're some of the hardest stocks for people to short in the market. So I love this. And sometimes those stocks that slowly trend upwards can all of a sudden pop off. And if, to be clear, if Bitcoin dominance pops off, that doesn't mean that the price of Bitcoin necessarily has to pop off. It might, but that means that altcoin money, total free money, is going down. And that more money is flowing into Bitcoin compared to the altcoin market. So until this falls, right now, look at this. Any stock, when it's staying on the 20-week moving average, these red lines, that's very bullish. And so until we get underneath that, I'm not changing my mind on Bitcoin dominance still going up, that we still have volatile times and possibly some good or better deals for Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if it came back down in this channel near the 50 moving average. I would also not be surprised if all of a sudden we broke out and went somewhere like in the 80,000s. I wouldn't be surprised at either. Let's finish up with Tether dominance here. You got to take it off log. And let's dim the moving averages. Tether dominance. Just like I said with Bitcoin dominance, but Tether, it's a stable coin. It's always at $1 or around $1. So if you do not like the volatility in the market, you put your money in the Tether because it keeps its value. It won't be going up and down by 2% or 5, 6% or whatever. Okay, it just stays where it is. What do we notice about the overall dominance of Tether? Each time it hits this trend line, the signal tops in the market, whether it's the 2017 top, here's the mid-cycle top and the COVID top. So it signals this top, this top, this top, these two tops, and this one. 2017, 2019 mid-cycle, the top before the COVID dump. Man, this was kind of a red flag right here. Imagine if people were watching this back then. They're like, something's going to happen in crypto. Things are going to sell off. This was creating a flag on the dominance chart for Tether. But then we got back up there in the double top in 2021 and then recently here. So where is Tether dominance now? Well, it is red, and that is the bearish way to look at it. We have this red dot, the sell signal. The bullish way to look at it is, hey, we have higher lows, higher highs, and it hit the 20-week moving average. So should it stay bullish, we'll just keep zigzagging up and down. Higher lows, higher highs. We'll go back in time. Let's try that again. Live. Higher lows, higher highs, and then that. If we believe in March as the, if we believe in March as the possible top, it is possible that Tether dominance does something like this. One more higher low, and then boom. If we believe in March as the quote-unquote 4-year cycle top. But again, type below, what do you believe? What do you feel in your gut as far as where the top will be for Bitcoin, how much it might be, as far as time, as far as range? And I'm open to hearing all your opinions out there. I'm sure because people are watching this channel, there's going to be, somewhat of an echo chamber being created. But you're welcome to write down your thoughts, even if you disagree. And if you do, I think it's wonderful that you're consuming and taking in other viewpoints. Again, how I want to present this isn't as telling you what to think, but more challenging how you think and approach the market. That we go by our plans and investment strategies instead of just emotionality and prior predictions, prior fractals, prior patterns. Because even though this looks like a pattern, there's more under the hood. When we open up the hood, it's not a simple 4-year cycle. It's a 484-day average. It's not a 4-year cycle from the new all-time highs. It's a 300-day average. So that's the data under the hood to consider. It's good to look at the rainbow chart, but we also have to take the data that comes with it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do these every week, and I don't want to say the same things each week. I want to add a new twist or two each week to bring to the table and to challenge you guys to think. That is my goal on this channel. Challenge how you guys think, because the more you challenge your own bias, your own ego, the more that'll teach you to just take a look at things objectively, take what the data gives you, go by your plan, follow your plan. That's the best way one of the best ways, not financial advice, to approach an investment strategy. So appreciate all you guys following, commenting, liking. This is a lot of fun. And they wrote a very nice comment a couple of days ago. And like I said, I enjoy doing this for free. I'm not in this for views or making money off YouTube. I'm honestly not. I do this for myself, first and foremost, to externally process You're like, God, I thought this guy was going to be done at 30 minutes. I never am. Um, but I do this to externally process, to go over my own thoughts and feelings, keep myself in check. And I try to share that with you guys because I've made a lot of money having this mindset the last two cycles. And if I can share anything positive with people out there, that brings me joy. I also get a lot of joy in helping others, educating others. Market psychology, I work in the field of psychology and I help people by challenging their mindsets. Don't tell people what to think, but I try to help people reflect on how they think. That is what I have a lot of time and expertise doing in my own life. And I hope some of that can be passed on here with investing in crypto or stocks, and that it can help you guys out. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Take care.